Yes, guys! GRP back.
Favourite character we're talking
Topic
about.
number 2. Yes, we're talking about his favourite character. Well, actually, we're not.
We're not, but,
We're not,
you know,
but
he's in
he's got the picture there. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah.
You can see that.
You can see.
You can see that. But anyway, this topic is about Bryan Singer. And Hugh Jackman saying how his behaviour on Xmen films would not happen now.
Yeesh.
So yeah, he's been up to some shenanigans. So this comes to us via IndieWire. And it says, Bryan Singer is one of the primary architects of the modern age of superheroes between his first 2 X-Men films in 2000 and 2003, as well as Days of Future Past, his best one by far.
Yeah. Close to X-Men 2, though, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, actually, so I shouldn't say that. And Apocalypse, which was garbage, in 2014 and 2016. Those 2 original films also transformed Hugh Jackman, then mostly known for his work in theatre, into an A-list film star through his portrayal of iconic superhero Wolverine. 100%. But since the release of those films, Singer has faced multiple accusations of sexual misconduct, as well as allegations from stars like Halle Berry and Jennifer Lawrence of volatile on-set behaviour. In a new interview with The Guardian, I just read to them before, Jackman acknowledged Singer's alleged unprofessional on-set behaviour, saying there was conduct on the set of the first X-Men movie that would not happen today, but he didn't know how to stand up to it at the time on his first American production. It is. This was my first movie in America. You've got to understand, it was all so new to me, Jackman told The Guardian. I think it's fair to say that there are some stories, I think there are some ways of being on set that would not happen now. And I think that things have changed for the better. Speaking more broadly about the industry at large, Jackman added that there's way less tolerance for disrespectful, marginalizing, bullying, any oppressive behavior. There's zero tolerance for it now, and people will speak out, and I think that's great. Although Jackman declined to say much more about Singer when asked about Singer's misconduct allegations, how Singer's misconduct allegations have impacted how he sees the films that made him famous. The Sun actor said it was complicated, but he ultimately is proud of the movies and their impact in leading to the modern wave of superhero films. That's a really, really complicated question, Jackman said. There's a lot of things at stake there. X-Men was a turning point, I believe, in terms of comic book movies. I disagree with that. So does this man here. And I think there's a lot to be proud of. And there's certainly questions to be asked, and I think they should be asked. But I guess I don't know how to elegantly answer that. I think it's complex, and ultimately I look back with pride at what we achieved and what momentum that started. It talks about Halle Berry's and Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. But anyway, we'll leave it as that. So let me just clarify what I was saying. We both think Blade led the modern superhero films.
I can understand the argument for X-Men.
I understand it, but listen, Marvel were broke when Blade came out. They were bankrupt, and that saved them. Blade saved them. So and no one expected Blade to be as good as it was, because everyone expected a comic book film to be cheesy, a la, although it's still a classic, Superman. So when they saw Blade, when they saw Blade, it was like, what
you can take this content seriously?
Right.
You can make it dark and graphic and have a cool superhero? Because Wesley Snipes is cool as a motherfucker.
Exactly. But anyway,
we digress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What I think about this is there's been a whole load of stuff about Bryan Singer.
Yeah.
He will not be touching any X-Men film again, that's for sure. I don't even know he'll be doing any big films anymore after these allegations.
No, because there's been a slew of them.
Yeah. And, there was, So, I know, look, I kind of sympathize with Jackman, but at the same time, I know that's where you're coming from. Because I remember, I've worked on projects, quite big projects before, TV projects before I got on Venom 2, right? And Venom 2 by all accounts, was a fantastic set. Andy Serkis was a fantastic director. Naomi Harris, fantastic lady to work with. There was no issues on that set. But I'm just saying, if there was to be an issue, I would be hard pressed as to who I approach in such a massive project. Just like, do I go although Andy Serkis was very approachable, do I go straight to him? Do I go to the first AD? Do I?
Yeah,
do you
I
see what I'm
can kind of
saying?
see what you're saying, because you're the fish out of water here.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you go that's one going to be listened to and not just ignored,
Right.
and two, like, where you're going to feel safe to have that conversation. So I can understand that. I mean, for me, like with the Spacey situation, right?
Yeah.
So when I found out about Spacey, this was back in 2005, 2006. Never met Spacey, never been within 50 miles of Spacey, but the news was repeatedly coming to me.
Yeah.
So I had enough information to make kind of an opinion without even seeing it. But could I go and speak on it? No, I hadn't seen it first. I hadn't been there, never met Spacey, but again, never been within 50 miles of him. So I just kind of listened to it, and I knew what to avoid if I ever went to a show that he was at. But had I have been there, I definitely would. I've not got much of a career at the moment. I will have, but like at the time, if I was looking to have a career, it would have been stopped very, very quickly, because, like, Larry, it's very hard for me. I got into a lot of arguments when I was at university and film school, because the moment I saw something happening, I didn't care if it fell out with someone.
You're pulling them up on it.
Pull them up on it. If someone's doing something wrong, don't be afraid to speak up about it. And we're blessed now, because in hindsight, back then, we didn't have the ability to talk up like we can now. Now, with certain movements, whether you fall in line with them or not, some of them have pushed the boat a bit too far. But with certain movements now, we've got the ability to talk up more. So there is the ability to see an injustice and go, you know what? No, that ain't happening. I will tell you about yourself real quick. But I can see Jackman's point to a degree. It was like the late 90s. He was pulled over from Australia. He was a musical actor. No one knew who the hell he was. And it's like, there you go. Here's, Patrick Stewart. Here's
Halle Berry.
Here's Halle Berry. Here's James Marsden. Here's, I'm thinking of
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, and like, you're thrown into the midst of that, given the spotlight as one of the main characters, and then you see some behaviour which you're like, hey, as an Australian, does this happen here, mate? I don't know. Like, it's like, it's just how Americans get on. But and then he's kind of thrown into that, and it's like, does he go and report it? So I can kind of see where he's coming from, because he didn't have camera phones in. He couldn't record it and keep himself like secure. He's just signed a multi-million-dollar contract for his family. Probably seen that money kind of before. So I can see where he's coming from, but at the same time, it doesn't excuse a lot of the A-listers back then that had the ability. A-listers. There's a lot of A-listers back then that had the ability and the power to talk about it. So I'm not siding with Hugh on the point, but I can understand.
I can see his point of view.
I can see his point of view. I can see his point of view.
But like you said, for instance, Halle Berry by that time was an A-lister. She could have spoke out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but then this is the thing. Like, I think men speaking out back then had more opportunity. I think when we look at how the industry was, I mean, it's getting better, but we look at how the industry was in the 90s. Like, what would have happened if she did speak out? Because there's a lot of female actresses we know of didn't last very long. Just like kicked to the curb straight away. And Halle Berry possibly was thinking like, and again though, it's the thing that Leon says so many times before. Well, if you don't speak up, it's gonna happen to someone else. So
that's true.
It's such a hard thing to, because you're not on set at the time. You don't know.
I mean, not unfortunately, but just like Damien, I'm gonna pull up people. Actually, it depends on what it is, because if I just see someone having a stern word with someone, I don't know what took place beforehand.
We have no context.
I might leave. If I see someone touching someone up, I didn't need to know context. I'm just.
I've seen the context. You doing shit you shouldn't be doing.
Right, exactly. So, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. But anyway, guys, what do you think about this? You side with what Hugh Jackman is saying? And do you think Bryan Singer's going to touch a single project again? Leave some comments down below and let us know what you think, please, yeah?
And do you think Blade started the Marvel Universe?
Yes, do you?
Let us know.